Well, good morning. I'm meteorologist Josh Marces, joined by meteorologist Jesse Kelly here in the Forecast Center with the 4 a.m. advisory update on Hurricane Laura, which did make landfall about 1 a.m. in Cameron, Louisiana. So we know this has been producing some significant damage down along the coastline. They have confirmed 130+ mile-per-hour wind gusts in the Lake Charles area. The radar site down in Lake Charles has been knocked offline. We suspect either the radar damaged or perhaps they have incurred a number of power outages there. But you can see the latest look at Laura, which is continuing basically to hug the Louisiana-Texas border. That's to be expected. At some point it will make a little bit of a turn to the northeast here, but it still has winds of 120 miles per hour. Fairly close to the center of rotation here. So what we're looking at in the Arctic today, potentially a hurricane all the way through northwest Louisiana and maybe even into southern Arkansas as well. So we'll look at what's currently happening on radar. So far we haven't incurred any issues here in the Arctic, but we're going to start tapping into some of those heavier rain bands, and the wind will likely start to increase each hour as we move through the morning. So if you're in Sabine and Natchitoches parishes, we've also had the rain ongoing here for several hours, but we're going to start getting into the worst of the weather here within the next 2 to 3 hours or so. Shreveport, manageable rain so far. Rain starting to pick up Marion County as well as Harrison County and up into Cass County. As far as the wind speeds that we've seen so far, pretty manageable right now, 15 to 25 miles per hour. But I mentioned each hour of the day we will likely see these wind speeds continue to increase, so we will get into those damaging wind gusts here once we get closer to sunrise this morning. A look at the potential track for Laura. We've seen a little bit of a nudge to the east as far as the track. Notice how narrow that cone is now across northwest Louisiana as well as southern Arkansas. Take home message here, 1 p.m. today, still looking at a Category 1 hurricane as this is crossing the Louisiana border over into southern Arkansas. So we expect we'll see some widespread wind damage along the path through our Louisiana parishes as well as into Arkansas. We do know that the National Hurricane Center is going to update this graphic for us shortly, but we are going to see the hurricane warning extended to the north. So if you're in Caddo, Bossier, Webster, Bienville, as well as Claiborne parishes, we are going to see that hurricane warning issued for those locations as well, as we'll probably see some hurricane force wind gusts 75 miles per hour higher in those locations. Here's a look at FUTURECAST. It does show some of those outer bands. Sometimes these are capable of producing tornadoes. So far we haven't seen any of that this morning, but it will be these inner bands right here. That would be the eye moving up across Toledo Bend, but these inner bands, that's typically where we do see the wind damage with these storms. And again, 6 to 8 a.m. and we'll likely see the worst of the winds making their way through Sabine and Natchitoches parishes. Red River, DeSoto Parish in and around that 8 a.m. hour. Shreveport, I think we really start to get into it 10 to noon. That would be the same for Bossier over into Webster, Bienville, and Claiborne parishes. Southern Arkansas looks like the worst of it headed towards you by noon today, and I think we'll really see things deteriorate across our counties here in Arkansas anywhere between about 1 and 4 p.m. today. Even though you're in the tropical storm warning, we could easily still see some hurricane force wind gusts in those locations as well. And even on the backside of this storm, we could see some high winds this afternoon, northeast Texas as well as McCurtain County, but it does look like the impacts will be most severe just off to the east of Interstate 49 here, where we'll likely see some widespread power outages and wind damage. May see scattered reports of that elsewhere across the region. Things should begin to wind down for us across the region late tonight. Here's a look at some of the potential wind gusts, 70 to 80 miles per hour here across the Toledo Bend region. As we move through the morning, winds going to start increase the further north that we get. So Shreveport, you see some of those gusts over 40 miles per hour. Texarkana by noon today, we're looking at some of those 50-mile-per-hour gusts there for you. And one thing I'll show you, again, typically the worst of the impacts just off to the northeast of the eye. Even on the backside of the eye here, we could see some 40 to 50-mile-per-hour winds as we approach sunset tonight, maybe up in Oklahoma, Arkansas, as well as northeast Texas. But the wind speeds likely come back down in all locations by midnight tonight. So wind will be the main issue for us. We all are also going to be on the alert here for some flash flooding. We do have a flash flood warning that just came out for Sabine as well as Natchitoches parishes. Flash flood watch for everybody else. We've been expecting maybe 4 to 6 inches of rain in the latest forecast model runs, kind of bearing that out for us, as we'll likely see a good 4, 6, maybe 7 inches of rain here across Arkansas, Louisiana, even into East Texas. We could see some 3 to 5 inch amounts as well. So street and stream flooding will be a big issue for us today. Natchitoches to Manny, 6 to 8 a.m. this morning when you can expect the arrival of the highest wind. Shreveport to Minden, somewhere in that 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. time frame. And Texarkana, I'll update this, maybe anywhere from about 1 to 4 today. And again, we could see those winds pick up to maybe 50 miles miles per hour in Texarkana by noon. So far, we haven't had any tornado warnings, but we do have a tornado watch in effect. Shelby County, Sabine, and Natchitoches parishes through 8 a.m. Very well could see that watch get extended to the north as well. Of course, we do have the newscast starting at 5 a.m. this morning. I will be joined by Chief Meteorologist Todd Warren at some point during the morning here. Meteorologist Jesse Kelly will be out in the Thunder Truck. We have a number of crews spread out across the field. So, of course, we'll have frequent updates for you between 5 and 7 a.m. We'll see you in about 45 minutes.
This is a severe weather alert.